Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Talent Connect. I'm your host, DJ Swing. I hope everybody is safe. I hope everybody is okay. Just chill out. Everything is going to be all right very, very soon. Like I always say, I'm so proud and happy to present various talents from India and overseas through my show, Talent Connect. We have got one more rocking episode waiting for you guys. My guest is ready. He's ready to come on. He's going to share all the best secrets possible, his life journey, his story, everything about uh, uh, himself. And we're going to get started very soon. So before I start, let me give a small introduction of him. He's the ambassador of modern techno music. His production has rocked world's best techno events like Awakening, Time Rap, and many more. He's a topper on Beatport charts. He's been performing all over India and across the world. The list just goes on and on and on. So without any further delay, let's call the king of techno music, MINITECH. Come on in, brother. Hey, there's my man, MINITECH. Welcome to Talent Connect. I'm so proud. I'm so happy. I'm feeling so amazing that you accepted the request to come on the show. Tell me something, Farooq.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, man. We all got to do what we can in these kind of modern times now. With luckily this Corona thing has happened in a time where we're in a very good period for technology, and it's not that difficult, in fact, for people to stay connected, even though they're locked down in different parts of the world. So yeah, it's nice to be part of this. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, last week we had Mahfeza and we got to know so many things about her, and it was totally amazing talking to her. And finally, you are here. I'm very excited to start the episode with you. So let's start.
Nice. Yeah, Ma's a good friend as well. We had a lot of fun playing together back in the day and stuff. So happy to see that she was on as well. And happy birthday to her. I mean, it's good that we've just passed recently.
Yeah, that's really great. So let's get started. So this show is all about to get to know about you more. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start everything from scratch. All right. So from which country you're born and brought up?
Well, I mean, actually, man, I've been pretty international, that way. I was actually born in London, and then very soon after, my family moved to the US. So then I ended up doing my early schooling in the US, but we did move around quite a lot there as well. And then, later in life, I ended up in India. My family's originally from India. And I was then in India with family and stuff for a few years in Mumbai, basically based in Mumbai, but then we moved around a bit. So I already started music by then. So I was between Mumbai, Pune, and Goa a lot and stuff like that. Eventually, after a few years, I left back for, I was originally went back to the UK for a while, and then ended up moving to Amsterdam 12 years ago. Which basically, when I was traveling earlier, I traveled a lot. So I did a lot of party research, went all over the place, was in Ibiza, Prague, Amsterdam, etc. For my personality, I found Amsterdam to be the best place to live, because I found a lot of like-minded people over there. And one day I had already visited Amsterdam several times, and I just decided every time I have free time, I try to go to Amsterdam. So why leave? Basically, if I couldn't find something to do in Amsterdam, then I just might as well live there and just travel to other places because I spend so much time in Amsterdam as it is. Also being, of course, a good hub for music. Aside from that, it has a lot to do with the lifestyle there. Very progressive, the rules there to me make a lot of sense, and the people's opinions there to me make a lot of sense. So on a day-to-day life thing, that feels great. So I set up a studio in Amsterdam, started producing music under MINITECH Project. I was DJing a long time before that, but I wanted to get together a certain kind of concept to move forward with music. I've done a lot of artist concepts in the past. I've released sidetracks, I've released remixes, I've released all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to do something which was very unique to my identity. By that time, performing had changed a lot as a DJ. I've played on vinyl, I played on CJs and all that stuff. But by now, we're looking at the late 2000s. Digital DJing came a long way. Tractor Pro was out. Alan and Heath started making a lot of controllers, and controllerism was very interesting to me. I was a DMC champion, etc., and used to incorporate a lot of things. As a DJ, when I was DJing on CDs and stuff, I was using a lot of effects and samplers and things like that as well. So for me, digital DJing was just the way forward. And the whole MINITECH project concept came about together with the music I was producing, as well as a new way to perform, which was using the best technology to heighten a DJ set to something beyond DJing. And then that basically started to take light in Amsterdam itself. So I set up my studio, produced all the MINITECH project stuff, started to do a few gigs to practice how I want to perform with basically different kinds of controllers and stuff. So I used to use Ableton with a Bitstream controller. I was using Tractor Scratch with this other Chaos Pad and all this kind of stuff. And eventually that set kept evolving to what it is in present day, which is a 4-deck Tractor setup with 2 Allen Heath K2s and a Pioneer RMX 1000 for drums. So it keeps evolving, but I still like to stay away from the standards of DJing and try to incorporate all new techniques because it was a personal thing as well, just finding it interesting. So yeah, I live in Amsterdam now, currently stuck in India because I was touring and didn't get back, but I still live in Amsterdam.
So your name is, your stage name is MINITECH. So is it MINITECH? Tech is because you're very techy, or is because you play techno music?
I mean, see, the interesting thing is when I was looking for a sound to go forward with in the late 2000s, when I was still researching which way I want to take my next project forward sound-wise. I mean, minimal techno was a big influence in everything that I was doing. Let's say that a lot of the minimal stuff, as it went further, it went more into a deep minimal direction. And so I like more driving sound. So it's sort of like, I like the concept of minimal techno, but I like the drive of like heavier techno in terms of the low end and a few other things. So that's how the sort of MINITECH project thing came about. I mean, it's a project of mine that is inspired by minimal techno and, all the sort of technology and everything to go around that. So it basically, that's how the MINITECH thing came about. And it was also, I a guy that does a bit of research. So when I looked up a few names online, it was fantastic because MINITECH, I think, has a good ring to it, and it wasn't taken. And, so even now, if you look for MINITECH Project, it's very easy to find me. I mean, if you hit it up on Google, you see pages and pages of MINITECH Project. There's no confusion. Yeah, there's no confusion though. It's only me, and maybe a couple of tech companies, like some IT company or something like that. So that helped a bit.
All right. So can you tell me a bit about your childhood, your college life, how you come up?
I mean, see, again, to be fair, it's not really so much like childhood or college played a big part in my evolution as an artist or as a performer. In fact, I would say that it is the failure of the academic institutions from what I realize. I mean, I don't discourage people to study or anything like that, but I have to say that most of the successful people I found in the world have spent less time with schoolwork and more time with their own things. So I would have to say that I still think education is important. I mean, what I could say is I did the better part of my education in correspondence, just so I had time to, I mean, before I was out of college, I was already making events and releasing music and stuff like that. So in fact, you know, I spent less time in college and more time working on my projects, working on events, working on, you know, things which actually interested me, which I was not studying in college at the time. So and then it's the same thing. I mean, like I have a lot of friends who've, I know a lot of artists who release on my label, who've spent a lot of time studying in SAE, who've done this, who've done that, who've spent so many years studying. And for me, for example, in fact, when I moved to Amsterdam, I had considered doing an audio engineering 2-year course in SAE, which I eventually, in fact, didn't do because I figured, you know, it's going to take me 2 years to complete the course, a lot of time, and around 10,000 euros, which I think translates to around 8 lakh rupees. And what I did instead was I weighed up the situation. I already knew how to produce music. I had done an online audio engineering course, and as well as a lot of online tutorials, and I was already producing music, so I messed around a lot with the softwares already by then. So I just thought, if instead I'm going to take those 2 years to set up a home studio and spend like half that money on my equipment at home, I might be better off. And that gamble paid off because by the end of those 2 years, when I would have just been coming of SAE, I had already released my first EP. I already had my first club bookings. I already did everything as MINITECH Project rather than studying in SAE for those 2 years. Now, again, I'm not discouraging this from anybody. This is just a personal thing. I still think SAE is great. I think it's a great way to get a network together as well. And it's a great way to get a better concept on sound. They're very good. It's just that, like, it was a personal decision. I thought I'm going to spend the money instead on my own equipment and get going on my own at home. I'm a really quick learner by myself. So some people are not like that. For me, for example, if I want to learn anything, I can learn all I want from tutorials online, and I get it, and I have enough gear to practice it. So I would say self-education, if you want to do music, is one of the best tools you can have. You spend more time. It depends, you know, you can spend more time on effective learning rather than learning stuff some academic institutes laid out for you as a you know, prospectus. You can choose the things you want to learn specific to yourself. So there's so much online tools that I really recommend that, you know. So school and college didn't really play much of an influence in my musical life, other than the fact that, like, by the time I decided to do correspondence studies, it gave me plenty of time to work on events and do stuff necessary.
So you got amazing studio behind you. So can you just explain what all you have? And
well, I mean,
can you just show us your studio?
Yeah, the thing is that this is like some temp stuff, you know, that because I've obviously not at home in Amsterdam. So I actually traveled with all this stuff when I was touring in India recently. And what I've got here is, this is an Akai LPK25. It's very small. It's, so if you see the size of my hand here, I mean, it's just about the size of 2 hands. So it's very small, and that's why I've got this with me now, because it could fit in my bag. Then I've got a Moog. This is a Moog Mother 32, a very good analog synthesizer. Again, very small, very lightweight, so I could travel with it. And I've got a Machine Mark III controller here. That's really the heart of everything. Yeah, Machine, Native Instruments. And the thing is, with the Mark III, they also have an audio interface. So with the Mark III, so this is my audio interface right now as well. So I've got my Moog Mother 32 connected via MIDI cable to my Machine. I've got the little MIDI keyboard connected via USB to the computer. Machine is USB connected to the computer, and that way this whole rig is set up. If you see these, the monitors here in the background, they are from Pioneer DJ. Very nice of them to, in fact, let me use, they sent me these monitors when I came to India, and I could like kind of keep them while I was, there's some, you know, it's a sort of display model or something. So I basically just using them while I'm in India, so I don't have to buy monitors and, you know, kind of get stuck with them, which I'll send back to Pioneer. So thanks again, Pioneer DJ, for the monitors. It's been a lifesaver. Yeah, and then I've got here on the side of this is I've got a MacBook Pro sitting over there, which is all connected to. And so yeah, pretty simple there. You know, so it's this MacBook Pro is 16 gigs of RAM and I think an i5 processor. Gets the job done. So yeah, I basically travel with this. So, you know, so it's convenient enough. I have a full studio in a bag. You know, So when I
Oh,
came over to
nice.
India on tour, I carried this so that I can produce music in between my gigs in different cities and stuff like that. So I don't actually travel to all my gigs with the Moog synthesizer and Machine. I've used Machine on some of the gigs though. And I have my performance gear, which is the Allen and Heath Zone K2s and a Pioneer RMX 1000. So that's what I normally travel with. And this is more for producing. But if the gig is close enough, like, I mean, we went for a festival here in the outskirts of Mumbai, and then we could drive. I had a car, so then I took the extra gear as well.
So you add any more stuff to your Pioneer DJ gear? Do you connect any additional equipment to your Pioneer gear while
Yeah, I
performing?
mean, see, I'll tell you what, like, so when I get to a club, I mean, I personally like the sound, a lot of Allen and Heath analog mixers, you know, so I normally request them only because of the sound. In terms of convenience, the Pioneer is way better, and I think that the Pioneer V10 sound might actually outdo
Yes,
the
yes.
Allen and Heath. I mean, we played on it at the VH1 Supersonic Awakening stage. It was really good sound. So
Hmm.
I can't comment about the V10, but with the DJM 900 Nexus 2, sometimes I use it as a sound card for my setup. So I normally, when I go to play, any mixer will actually do, because I have two Zone K2s from Allen and Heath, which I use to control all my parts in Tractor, all the effects, all the channels and everything. You can view how I play extensively on my YouTube channel. There's lots of videos, me in different like
Yeah, yeah.
clubs and
I've
stuff,
seen
so you
a
can
lot.
actually see. Then basically, I've got a Pioneer RMX 1000, which I carry along as well. So I add additional drum elements from that, and sometimes some reverb effects and things. So I effectively just need a mixer. I go with my
Hmm.
laptop, my two controllers, and my RMX unit, and we're pretty good to go. You know, like that's about it. Sometimes, like I said, if there's a DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer, what I'll do is I'll actually use that as the audio interface. So that's the sound card, and I still use everything else from my Allen Heath controllers and the RMX 1000.
So at what age you started playing music? I mean, how did your musical journey start? Like, at what
Well,
age you?
I mean, see, the funny thing is, I mean, I was in Mumbai like during the time in fact, was always a bit of a gearhead, all my life. So I've always been very interested in sound and speakers and stuff. I think the first time it really impacted me in a big way was when I listened to Bose speakers for the first time. So I was actually I think in Mumbai, maybe like 14 years old or something like that. And a friend of mine mentioned to me about Bose speakers because he was really into sound. Like he knew I was really into sound. So he's like, listen, man, you haven't heard this thing, you're gonna freak out, blah, 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 and stuff. He took me to this Bose showroom somewhere. I don't remember where it was in Mumbai, where they had all the Bose technology sort of out on display at the time. And I think it was the 901 series. It wasn't the Acoustimas, which is this like satellite subwoofer systems. It was one of their flagship systems. I mean, this is a very expensive sound system. And
Yes.
I heard some music on those 901s and completely was taken aback. I was like, wow, I have not heard these parts in tracks before. Like this, I've listened to these tracks so many times, and I never heard this part and that part. So I got really obsessive about sound quality at this point, and got more and more into independent sound research. So as I said, again, this has nothing to do with any academic stuff. This was all independent research. I got involved into sound. That time there wasn't really internet, to be honest. So it was a lot of collecting articles about sound and magazines on sound, and things like Future Music and Sound on Sound, and like these kind of publications really do help. And yeah, so eventually this sound thing. So I was already a big fan of music, and I was already leaning towards electronic music as a child. I liked a lot of acts like New Order and Frankie Goes to Hollywood and Yazoo,
Yes.
and basically Kraftwerk stuff, which I didn't know at the time, fully electronic produced. So that means there was no acoustic instruments, there was no guitar or like drums. There was all electronic drums, electronic synths, electronic leads. And so I had a natural affinity to be into those kind of sounds, which were electronic. Later in life, I realized that they used Juno synths or Roland and all the famous things, 909s, 808s, to make all that stuff. Um, but anyway, so at this time, I was also collecting CDs for my personal collection with a lot of underground stuff, whatever I could find, basically a lot of electronic stuff.
Yes.
And so in the meantime, so I was already into sound, and I was already like collecting music. Now, these two things had nothing to do with the DJing career at the time. Then, it just so happened that we were at a family friend's like venue in Mumbai, and they had like a restaurant, and on top of the restaurant was a sort of this party room kind of place, which they hire out for somebody's birthday party or a wedding party or whatever it is. And we went to meet this family friend, and we were having dinner there or something, and the guy was stressed out because of his music system, his sound system or something wasn't working. There was some problem, and they couldn't reach the resident DJ and all this kind of stuff. So I just offered, I said, look, I'm not a professional or something, but I have a good knowledge about sound, and maybe I could take a look, and if it's something simple, I can try and help resolve it. I'm sure I know more than the waiters and all the guys, manager there who's trying to do it anyway. So eventually, yeah, I did actually managed to fix their sound problem. It was a simple thing to do with the crossover and the amplifiers and all that stuff. And he basically was so happy that he then invited me to come and mess around on the equipment whenever I wanted. So, I mean, for somebody who's a complete gear junkie, audio, freak, for me, that was a great invitation. So what I did was I used to go there sometimes in the afternoon by myself, and I learned to mix music. They had a Denon, like a Denon 2000 player, and a couple of turntables and stuff. So I actually
So there was nobody to teach you? So
no, not at all. Yeah, correct. I have not learned anything I've done from anyone, except like some things online. I wouldn't like necessarily say that my skills have come from a specific instructor or a teacher of any kind, other than a collective thing I was taught by all the DJs and artists that I like, by watching them and getting ideas and influences. I've never had a specific teacher or guru or anything like that. So I went and taught myself how to mix on those things very fast as well. So this was something that I could beat match in 2 days, like it was not a big thing for me. And so clearly I had some talent and skill, like it just came naturally. Now, the funny thing is, somehow after this, I just got asked by a friend of mine, like she was having a birthday party, and she wanted to actually have it at my place, because I got a terrace here which possibly could be used. And then we had this birthday party, and she actually asked me then, like, hey, you're really into sound and music and stuff, maybe you can DJ, and that's basically how we got started. So I played for that birthday party, and then one thing just led to another. I was already doing some work on events at the time. I was doing some freelance work with Fountainhead, with Wizcraft, on event management and things like that.
That's really nice.
So yeah, so it kind of like just went naturally. The flow just went naturally. So I knew a lot of other DJs. I knew a lot of like venues and events and stuff. And so from this birthday party, then I met another guy, and he was like, listen, that's really good music, blah, blah, blah. I'm having a college event, and maybe we can collaborate on that and then start doing private parties. And so then that's what we did. So we actually then, after this birthday party, we did this college fest, and we gave out a lot of business cards, like, hey, we make parties and blah, blah, blah. So there we started to get bookings for people's birthday parties and all that kind of stuff. And eventually, like down the road, I started to organize. So I became resident DJ in clubs. In Mumbai as well, I played most of the venues at that period. Then I became a Mumbai DMC champion. I became like War of the DJs runner-up and all that kind of stuff. So things just went one thing to another. Then I started to organize my own raves. They were not legal though, but I got away with it, so I can say it now on camera. Ha, I did it. All right. So basically, we did a lot of raves as well in the outskirts, in villages and things like that, which became legendary. So that sort of went on its own way. And then, yeah, but of course, a lot of the times at that time, we're talking about a long time ago in India, the scene was very small. You could get away with certain things. Things were more relaxed in certain ways, and lots less things were happening. So you had to do something a bit more next level, And eventually then I left to basically become a global, thing, because unfortunately, what I feel sometimes in India is, the standard of things is not the best. So it's okay for something mediocre in India to be the best, because a lot of people, like, clubbing is very, it's a small thing in India. It's not a large culture yet. It's getting there now. It's getting very positive.
Yeah.
But obviously that time it was crazy. Like, people really thought, like, people going out to party are like doing some evil stuff, like, or whatever, which now the conception has changed a lot. I mean, before, nobody in India could be a DJ or something without getting kicked out of their house by their parents, like you want to be a DJ? No, you got to be a doctor or a lawyer or something. Today, it's changed a lot. I mean, like, you have people who want to be DJs, VJs, graphic designers, who are encouraged by their families, like, they buy them equipment, they like help them on their road, they don't make blocks in their way and start kicking them out of the house and things like that. So, now there's a lot more scope for these things in India. So I basically wanted to make something more global, because I always felt that my quality is world class. And I knew that even if I'm doing the best work in India, it's not really it doesn't mean much, because the best in India is still very, like, can be relatively mediocre, because that's what's accepted by the public, like, they don't know any better. So eventually I thought Amsterdam, like, to me, felt like the best place also to, like, push my personal best, because the standard in Amsterdam is so high. You have, like, the best of the best of the best artists, like, living there, growing there. And another reason why that is because it's a deep culture in Amsterdam. I realized in Netherlands, they're doing raving for a really long time. So there's like 2-3 generation of people, like people's grandparents there were raving and, taking pills and everything, and it's normal. So already 2 generations ago, or like 1 generation ago. So for example, like Martin Garrix and all these young artists, they start making music when they're like 5, 6. Their parents are like getting them a studio, like computer, like monitors, professional gear, something to mix on, to encourage their children at a young age to develop this. So that's why you have so many good artists coming from the Netherlands in all genres. In drum and bass, you've got Noisia, you've got house artists like Joris Vorn, you've got techno artists like Egbert and Secret Cinema and stuff. And, it does help that they get encouragement from their families at a young age, and they're able to start young. I mean, Egbert started making music when he was 9 years old. He was like 21 then by the time he's signing super hits, But he's basically got 12 years of production experience when he's 21 years old, which is very difficult for someone who doesn't get support from the parents. So anyway, so of course in Amsterdam, it's not easy. It's a very competitive environment as well. And I'm happy that after so long being there, producing, playing regularly, I got residency at some of the best clubs there and things like that, some of the best techno nights because of my skills. And I also won Amsterdam Favorite DJ Award in the Golden Kabouter Awards. So for me, that's a big deal.
I was about to come to that point. Yes.
Yeah, so it's nice because, then I was happy to that like, well, I'm quite satisfied then to say, like, well, my skills are where I want them to be. And Amsterdam's being a big, part in pushing me to stay my best all the time, because the standard is so high that it just, it needs to be that good.
Yes. So the longest crowd you have performed for? I mean,
the largest?
The largest, sorry.
I mean, I think it would probably be around, like, let's see. I mean, it's hard to say, but it would probably be around maybe 4,000 to 5,000 people. I think something like that. Maybe 4,000. Yeah, it's quite a thing. I have to say though, the first time in my life I ever performed for 1,000 people. I think it was 1,000 or 1,500 people. It was a show very long ago. Like, I think it was a Christmas party or something in India itself, like 20 years ago or something like that. And that was the first time I was like nervous in front of such a large crowd. Like, because I suddenly went from playing to an audience of like 200 people to like something beyond 1,000 people. And then it really hits you that, like, shit, if you make a mistake or, play the wrong track or something, it's affecting a lot of people, So like, it really kind of hits you. Yeah, Well, so that's the thing. I was then nervous, like in front of this 1,500 crowd when I was like, I don't know, 20 or 19 years old. And I was like, whoa, it struck me that if I make a mistake, it's going to affect a lot of people, like, in one go. But after I was able to overcome this, then I have to say that whether the crowd is 1,000 or the crowd is 10,000, it's the same, like, you have the same thing, like, because in fact, what helps me to get by is to focus on the 500 people in the front, you know. So I've got like 500 people right in front. I'm focused on this audience and not the one who's way at the back, you know, like the 4,000 people away. So I'm playing mainly concentrating on the 500 people that's right in front of the stage, and we make a more intimate feeling, you know. And then what's happening behind that, like, well, you know, that's just happening.
So your base is Amsterdam right now, or Mumbai, or you keep shuffling between both the countries?
Well, see, I live in Amsterdam. What I've been doing the past couple of years, because I've had the time to mainly, is come to India during the winter time in Amsterdam. It's like the club scenes are on. Some clubs are shut. Festivals are not happening and stuff like that. And it's very, very cold and very, very dark. You know, I mean, the sun basically comes up around, I think, 11 o'clock or something in the morning, and already 4 o'clock in the evening is dark, you know. So you have like 3, 4, 5 hours that's light, you know, everyone's getting depressed and stuff like that. So in that time, I normally sort out my India tours. So, you know, they've been getting bigger and bigger since I've been growing with the label. So I started MINITECH Recordings like 3 years ago. And I've been traveling more extensively since then to kind of push the brand, you know, rather than just my own productions and stuff. So, so India has been kind of a place to come 2 or 3 months in the winter now and sort out all the cities, do tours, do MINITECH Recordings, label showcases, check out new artists while I'm here, and basically keep it as a base for the winter time, if possible. I mean, I'm not sure that obviously it's going to happen this coming winter, but hopefully in 2021 again, we'll have a nice time with MINITECH Recordings together all over the place in India. So Amsterdam is all year round, and then India lately has been my base for the winter months.
So you've been awarded as Amsterdam's favorite DJ. Joining the list with you are some of the biggest names like Adam Byers, Richie Orton, Daft Punk, Carl Cox. I mean, that is really big. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, it's interesting because this particular awards show is called Golden Kabouter. It basically in Dutch translates to Golden Gnome Awards. And when I went to ADE for the first time in my life, I think it was like 2008, Amsterdam Dance Event. And I was just attending, that time I had even taken a break from DJing because I wanted to set up my studio and everything. I wasn't taking any gigs, doing anything. And I was just attending ADE as a delegate, like a normal guy, you know, and I bought a pass, all access. So I went and attended a lot of the talks in the conferences, and I went to check out a lot of big parties and stuff like that and do my research. And in the program, in the ADE program, there was this awards show, okay, called the Golden Kabouters. I had not heard of it or anything like that. And I went to attend it because with the ADE pass, you can attend any of the ADE things in the program. So I went to attend it, and it was like a show that I didn't really expect, you know, like a very Dutch, very like Dutch humor. Basically, it's a sort of like a spoofy kind of fun awards show. But apparently, it has a lot of, I had talked to a few people about it, and they said it holds, even though it's not like so serious, you know, like it's a lot of comedy and the host is making fun and they're doing spoofs of all the big DJs and all this kind of stuff. But it's respected a lot in the Dutch music industry, like these awards, the Golden Kabouters, the Golden Gnome Awards. So that's why also, although the whole theme behind it is really funny and comical and slapstick and spoof, the awards themselves are pretty serious. So you've got all the best people like Awakenings and the best venues and some of the best producers have been awarded stuff there. So in fact, it's quite serious. And then I was basically resident for a techno night in Amsterdam, which we won the award a couple of years prior for best club night. And then around 2 years or a year later, I won the award for favorite DJ as well. So it was that happened about, I think, 9 years after I attended that awards for the first time. So it's basically for me, a lot of things coming full circle, you know, like I couldn't have imagined myself in this awards that I saw in 2008 when I went for the ADE, that I would actually be there winning the award 9 years later. In fact, I didn't expect it so much that I was actually outside when I won the award. So in fact, someone had collected for me because I was there. So I was nominated in 2 categories that year. And the earlier award, I didn't win. So since I didn't win the earlier award, I thought I'm not going to win the favorite DJ award. but I was booked to play at the official after party of the awards anyway. So I thought before, so basically as soon as this was before I was even nominated, I got booked for this. So basically what happened was that I went outside to have a cigarette and like pee and stuff, because I said the awards are going to finish soon and I got to play after. So I better just go outside, smoke, pee, get all my stuff together so I can perform, right? And then somebody came running out to get me, and say like, hey, where are you? Like, you won the award and everything, and I was like, what? Like, really? So I came back in, then I grabbed the photographers and stuff and like made some pictures with my award and everything like that. So it was actually a very funny moment, like, and then after that, I was anyway playing at the official after party. And then we had an after party at a friend's place. So it went pretty nuts from there, man.
Your weekly radio show showcases some of the top artists and it's aired globally. Can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, MINITECH Recordings Radio, you can hear it on these lots of radio stations online, Diesel FM, DIFM, O6 Ibiza, Underground Radio, and as well as on SoundCloud and Mixcloud for MINITECH Recordings. So you can really choose your medium. We're also, some of the shows are on Spotify, so, lots to check out there. It's been a real challenge to have, I think we're on 60th episode now. So that's 160 weeks non-stop of making sure the radio content is in, voiceover is done, my intro is done, it's uploaded to all the radio stations. It's been a lot of work, but it's received very well. So definitely everybody tune in to the radio show, whether you like on SoundCloud, Spotify, Mixcloud, or if you listen to any of the stations, then yeah, please enjoy it. It's a lot of work and there's a lot of good music there.
So are you planning to expand in India as well?
I mean, yeah, I'm more than happy to get the radio show. I mean, we do it every week anyway. So if there are any good radio partners in India listening, then please contact me. We definitely would like to be on radio in India as well.
Oh, that's a news for all the radio stations. So you can contact MINITECH for his radio show to get.
You're not too late. Be the first, guys. Yeah.
All right. So does every country accept your music, or you face challenges to play in different countries?
I mean, see, the way it goes with playing and getting popular in certain places is it's really more like what I do is I put my music out there for the world, and then it catches on more in certain places, and like those places, it's easier to get bookings for me and my artists. So yeah, it's more a reverse thing, like, so you can also put in like more promotion into a certain region if you want to get bigger there. But for me, I kind of like, I let the music kind of speak for itself, and then where I see it getting popular is places then we expand.
Have you ever got booed off from the stage?
No, never actually. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, luckily I have a really crazy track record for my consistency when it comes to good music.
All right. So you have shared the stage with some of the biggest DJs and artists. Tell us your experiences.
Well, I mean, I have to say that's again been a real confidence booster to have been playing with so many peers that I've been such a fan of for so many years, and still like hold my own. So I've often, in fact, played sets after these guys, like a closing set in a club or something, and really delivered like after such a high talent as well. So that's been really good. Specifically, I think playing after a closing set after Mauro Picotto, playing a closing set after Luigi Madonna. These have really been some highlights. Also, of course, playing before Jose Cipriani and Enrico Sangiuliano at the Awakening stage at VH1 Supersonic. So I mean, I'm just happy. I have the confidence to. I'd say like my sets are totally world class. It's like second to none. So I'm just happy that it's received the same way from the public, from also the artists have been very impressed. When I've played with them, they've really been like, wow, it was a really good set, and things like that. So we've also gone on to become friends and things like that. So it's been very, very nice, very flattering. And, I'm happy that I was able to entertain people with my skills.
Yeah, I listen to most of your set and I thoroughly enjoy it. I really love it.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
So you have performed in some of the biggest festivals around the world. Can you tell us what challenges you face when you play in a club or when you play in festivals? You know, the stages are different, and what
I
kind of a
mean, see,
challenges you face?
but the thing is, yeah, it's more about like when you go to a festival. Like in most cases, the festivals I've performed at are at a decent standard. I've also performed at some smaller festivals and things like that. You always face different challenges depending, you know. So bigger festivals have better budgets, so they're more on point with your tech riders and stuff, and with like space
Mhm.
and stuff. And sometimes the challenges you face in certain clubs and in certain, so the best clubs, you have no issue. There's plenty of, I mean, I have a very specific tech rider, so it's like I have even mentioned the amount of table space I require for my setup. So there are the exact dimensions of the width and height I require to set up my equipment, the amount of free channels, the amount of the kind of mixers, the stuff. So, you know, on bigger festivals and bigger clubs, they have budgets and you get exactly what you ask. You get exactly the table space you want. You get exactly the mixer you ask for, and everything is in pristine condition. The mixers are top notch. There's no channel leakage, no mess. Of course, the challenges you face with smaller venues and like lesser sort of festivals are that you fall short of table space. You know, the monitors, sometimes quality is not you know, on point. Also,
Okay.
some of the equipment is not well maintained, so certain channels of the mixer are not working properly. You know, stuff like that. So that's mainly the challenge you face with smaller venues, smaller festivals, as opposed to the bigger ones.
So you have a different setup for clubs, and you do you have a different setup for festivals, or you have one
No,
setup which
actually,
you?
my technical setup kind of remains the same. Sometimes for certain big gigs, I plan something special. Like when we were doing something, like when I was playing together back to back with doing Meta this past year in VH1 Supersonic, we have a very special setup for that. Or when I played with Kamcho at VH1 Supersonic 2 years ago, we also had a very special setup for a very special set. But when I perform solo sets, it's with the same setup. So my equipment remains the same in most cases, 90% of the time, 99% of the time almost, I'd say. The only thing that differs would be my music selection. So I, you know, in an indoor dark venue, you play different music than if I was playing at like 5 in the evening at a festival, per se. You can get away with different tracks that would work better in the environment.
All right. So your biggest achievement till date, and what's your next target?
I mean, yeah, I think I'd have to say, you know, having hosted showcases of MINITECH recordings in Paradiso in Amsterdam, which is one of the most
Wow.
legendary venues in the world, that one this definitely has to stand there. You know, performing at the Max Hall in Melkweg for 1,500 people, performing at VH1 Supersonic Awakening stage. You know, these are all really high points. Also, getting my tracks played by when I saw my first time my track played by Richie Houghton, or the first time I saw my track played by
Wow.
Corotta or Joseph Cipriani, or you know these guys. It was definitely, these are all, you know, unforgettable moments. Sometimes you don't realize, you know, it's really a reality or a dream or something like that. But so these things have been like, it's difficult to define which one was better than the next, but you know, really amazing stuff. Winning the favorite DJ award in Amsterdam, or winning a DMC championship in India, or anything like that. It's all been
Wow.
so many high points, really, you know.
That's really amazing. So we got a lot of information which I personally didn't know, and I think a lot of people as well. So we're gonna take things a little more lighter now. So this round is
Mm-hmm.
called Let's Get Naughty. So I'm gonna ask some
All
silly
right, nice.
questions. All
Sure.
right.
Nice. I'm
So
very naughty. Like, yeah,
did you flirt with your fans?
yeah. I still do also.
All right. Do you try to look cool in front of girls while performing? Like I'm mini tech, like that.
No. Actually, that's definitely never the case. You know, I perform the same regardless for everybody. You know, for the girls in the audience, for gays in the audience, for just people watching my technical performance as well. The cool part, just I mean, if anything, is just, you know, it's more of a natural thing. There's nothing put on. Like I saw this girl in the front, and now I'm acting extra cool or something like that.
Have you ever got drunk and done any weird things in your show?
Um, I have got pretty wasted at a lot of shows. Luckily, I think for me, I tend to not do something too ridiculous after being high. You know, so it's been okay in my career that way. I've been saved. You know, I can handle myself. However, not at a gig once, a very long time ago, I did something really, really funny when I was drunk. Is I was walking across like from one end of the club to the other, and on the dance floor, I saw this guy with some really funny suspenders, and I just I told this guy like, hey, nice suspenders, and I just like grabbed his suspenders and kind of like you know like put his hand put it back on his chest. So I think that's the weirdest thing I ever done drunk, which was sort of embarrassing or something that I shouldn't have done.
All right. So while performing, do you get any requests? Do you really play them?
No. I mean, luckily, I get bookings now, being well established as a techno artist, etc., that people want to hear what I want to deliver. In the odd case in India, like very rarely though, it has happened that I have got a request, and obviously I've told them no. I'm like, sorry, it's not one of those nights, Yeah, you can come back on some other night when they're playing the hits,
So do you get jealous of other good DJs?
No. In fact, I get inspired. Like I'm always on the hunt to look for very good skills, and when I see them, I want to do that better if possible. Myself. So it gives me ideas to push my performance and my music further. So I really love to see better DJs.
Yes, that's very well said. So a bit of time pass now. So what do you do in your free time?
Well, I mean, free time's a difficult one, man, to be honest, when you're so consumed with music. But I tell you what, I like, if possible, I do like gaming. So sometimes I play something. It helps relieve the stress and completely disconnect the mind from music and all the different various things we have to do, social media and stuff like that. I like having sex, as much as possible when I have time. So that's definitely something I like to do in my free time. And yeah, for the rest, I'd have to say that also there's a very big difference in doing music for my career, for my let's say self work that I have to do and deadlines that I have to meet. And there's also a lot of difference in just doing music for pleasure. And often I spend some of my free time doing that. So I like experimenting with sounds. I like making music, and some of that stuff doesn't really meet the make a release or anything like that. It's purely for pleasure. Sometimes I might produce other music that is not techno or dance floor oriented, or just really experiment with weird frequencies and mess around with different features. Now, some of that could be considered work rather than free time, because a good experiment in my leisure time with music can result in something which I'm going to use in actual productive time, but it's done purely with a leisure thing. So I'm going to smoke a joint or something and just go off into some kind of frequency realm, which is not really it's not really specific to meet the criteria. It's just to enjoy music. In that sense, it's more leisure music than work music.
So what's your favorite food?
Food. Let's see, man. I guess Sev Puri, man. No, I mean, yeah. No, Indian food is definitely fantastic. I think, I really like Sev Puri quite a lot.
You're a vegetarian?
I'm always dying to get one when I come back to India.
Are you vegetarian?
Well, no, actually, I eat everything, but I try to be as much vegan as possible, just for both health reasons and for the planet. So I eat a lot of vegan stuff. Again, that brings me back to a lot of Indian food because it's far superior vegan food than foreign food. Like, for example, in Amsterdam, they do really good sausages and stuff like that. But in India, we have much better vegan food like chana, rajma, and, dals and stuff. Like, you can't beat this stuff. So I still eat meat and I still eat processed foods and stuff like that, but I keep it to a real minimum. So majority, I try to keep it vegan, and then I'm happy to eat a steak or some butter chicken or whatever, in between, but it's more as a novelty, I do it as I would eat a pastry or a cake or something. So you don't do it every day, you don't do it every meal. It's just once in a while, or, something like that.
So whenever you're in India, you cook, or you have somebody to cook for you, or you love cooking?
I mean, see, in India, actually, there's just so much good food available, also so reasonable and things like that. So, I'm usually getting fed. In Amsterdam, I cook more because it's difficult to for example, to get a good place to have chana and stuff, it's not so casual. You have to really order from a fancy Indian restaurant or something. So in Amsterdam, I tend to cook more than when I'm in India. I got a pressure cooker, there. So like then sometimes when I'm in the studio, I also do a lot of raw smoothies, like so I have throw in a lot of vegetables. In fact, so I do a lot of vegetables with a little bit of fruit, sort of like spinach, pineapple is a good combo and stuff like that. So I often sip that while I'm in the studio. So then I'll like make a big ass like smoothie, and then I'm just gonna keep drinking it for the next hour or so while I'm making music.
So you put some techno also in it?
Yeah, of course, man. No, actually, like the spinach and stuff goes in, and the techno comes out. Yeah.
Well, what's your hobby?
Yeah, I'm thinking if I have one really outside of music, like a real serious one. Uh, I mean, nothing much. When I do get time away from music, I like to take a nice bike ride or something in Amsterdam. Take some psychedelics or something. To be honest, like I like to do that on a regular basis. Go to some nice park, bike out somewhere, some nice company, take some magic mushrooms or something like that. And spend some time in nature. Sometimes I'm going on the canals of Amsterdam with a little boat. I had a little boat which I was riding around the canals, very relaxing. Unfortunately, got stolen. My little boat got stolen, so I'm going to be thinking about some new hobbies, I guess, soon. It's also nice because in Amsterdam we're on bicycle everywhere, so sometimes it's nice just to take a bike ride out to like one of the camping spots or something like that. It's very relaxing.
So, what's your all-time favorite music? What
Yeah, I
genre?
mean, it would be hard to say, again, with all the genres and subgenres kind of coming about today. I've always been a big fan of techno, which, you could call, the thing is, again, it's hard to define a genre because techno has been called techno music, it's been called house music, it's been called everything in between. So, but I do enjoy, I can't say I have a favorite, but I really do enjoy psytrance. I enjoy techno. I enjoy, also a lot of very ambient stuff, which in fact doesn't even have a beat. It's like it's got a synthesis music. I listen to it sometimes when I'm sleeping. It's just weird synth textures and atmospheres and stuff like that.
That's really nice. So that was a bit of time pass because we normally don't get to do that. Most
nice.
of the time.
Yeah, time pass is important, man.
Yeah, because I've been calling you from 2-3 days and you're busy with the recordings, and it was then I
yeah,
thought,
man. It's been a hectic lockdown, also. Yeah.
I know. So, any tips for upcoming DJs from your side?
Yeah, I mean, see, the most important thing is if you want to become a good DJ or an artist, aside, so obviously, firstly, the quality of your stuff has to be good. Your DJ sets, your tracks, whatever, the more you do, the better. So, if you're a DJ and just a DJ, it's more difficult. If you're a DJ producer, things become easier. If you're a DJ producer releasing in better places, it becomes easier. If you're a DJ producer doing events, things are better, etc. So the more things you can bring to the table, the better. Most important thing is to get a following. So that means like if you want to start DJing, get yourself a local following, start playing in local venues before you start dreaming about traveling all over the world. Get well known locally, get good people to back you, get your friends to back you, get your family to back you, and get a good presence online on your social media. And then you can start approaching people for bigger and better things.
Oh, that's a very good tip. So all the upcoming DJs, so that was a tip from MINITECH. So you have collaborated with so many DJs and artists. Does it really help to build a career?
Yeah, indeed, man. I mean, definitely. Also, currently, with the label and stuff, it's. I would be more inclined to sign a track from an artist who's got a better following in a particular region. What this does is, it's a lot of mutually beneficial stuff. So, in places where I have a following as a label, for example, then they get known as an artist. So someone who I release on the label, let's say if the label has a good presence in Amsterdam or in India, like suddenly an artist from Bulgaria that I will release on my label would get noticed suddenly in India and in Amsterdam. In turn, because they're well known in Bulgaria, my label will get better recognized in Bulgaria because they're going to do promotion when they release on my label. So it's all works hand in hand. Everything helps. Everyone helps each other. and definitely collaborating with more DJs in different regions will get you better known in those regions and get them better known in your regions. And so that's again what comes back to the point I made earlier about people who want to DJ, get well known locally. It's very important first.
Yeah, it's very well. Because I try to collaborate with so many people. I love collaborating with people. In India, still people are not very open to collaborate. But I have collaborated with so many international producers, DJs, and it works very well. And I don't know why in India still people are not very open. So what do you have to say about that?
I see. I've had a very good time collaborating with DJs in India. We've done I've been doing a lot of stuff with Ash Roy for many years. Several years ago, I released on Arjun Bagle's old label called Maktab Music. That release went very well. I've released on Killer Records with Quora and stuff like that. I've got Tuhin Mehta on my label. We've done a lot of sets together. Kamchor as well, so I have to say, I got Master on the label together with Tuhin Mehta, in fact, on the last release. So Master, and so I have to say, in my personal experience, I have had a good time collaborating with Indian DJs and artists. I suppose it all depends on who you're trying to collaborate with and what your vision is. So if you have a certain vision that the other artist really believes in, it's not that difficult to collaborate. It's just when maybe you're trying to collaborate on something they're not so interested in creatively, or they don't see the benefit in the amount of time spent on the project, that they might not. But in my personal experience in India or abroad, I've had the same equal good time collaborating with artists and DJs.
Yeah, that's why I can see you everywhere. Yeah, I've been researching about you, and I saw some amazing stuff. I was very amazed.
Yeah, nice. Well, thanks, man. I'm happy. Yeah, it's been a lot of work to make sure that everything's documented. It's a very important tip I can give everybody is document as much as you can. It's not fun. It's not fun. When you go to a gig, you want to enjoy the gig, play the music, party, and all that stuff. But the more things you can document about the stuff you do with your music, the better.
That's again a great tip. That's very important, I feel. Well said.
Yeah.
So one last question before we sign out. Tell me one good thing happened to you during this lockdown and one bad thing.
Well, see, the good thing is, I think has been I've not been having any alcohol, since the lockdown, because in India, obviously the lockdown has been alcohol banned. And so that's been good to detox my liver from alcohol. So that's definitely a good thing. Having some extra time for me, that's really, I have to say, comes right up there as the top thing. So I've been able to, in fact, catch up on some movies and, things I really don't have time for, along with just having some time to work on some side projects with music, aside from all the hectic techno stuff. And so that's been good. Bad thing has been obviously that it has killed the music industry.
Yes.
There's no better way to put it. It's going to be a long time before I'm able to perform again in a normal way. Now in Amsterdam, for example, some venues have opened up with a capacity of 30 people max. It's like some sit-down parties and stuff like that. It's really not the same. As obviously everybody being able to party together and have a dance floor full of people bouncing off each other's bodies, so it's going to be a very long time until we can party completely normal again. And there's no doubt this is the worst thing from any lockdown situation that could have possibly happened. There'll be a long time before I can connect with my audience directly in person again, and definitely that's the worst thing.
Do you miss the stage?
Yes, yeah, absolutely, man. It's the stage is what it's all about at the end of the day. You bring. For me, I don't produce music for people to listen in their car system or at home. I do it specifically for the dance floor, where there's a big sound system. So without the big sound systems, my music is effectively 50% effective. If you listen to it on your phone, or you listen to it at home, or you listen to it in a car, it's not the same. So the stage is what it's all made for. The stage is what it's all about,
Very well said. Very well said. All right, people, that comes to an end of another amazing episode of Talent Connect. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you people enjoyed the show. You got to know every bit about Minitech, which you can only get to know only through him. All right. So we will soon update our next guest coming on Talent Connect. Big shout out to our tie-ups, PIXADOO and SEO CLOCK. You guys are simply amazing. They've done all this setup, and it's a lot of technical stuff. So thank you so much, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel for all the latest update. Before we sign out, thank you so much, Minitech, for coming on our show and giving us your time and telling us so much of technical stuff and all your life journey and a bit of time pass. Everything was really amazing. Thank you so much, and
Yeah, thanks.
all the best when.
Thanks for having me, man, and thanks for taking the time to do these things as well. It's important that someone takes the time and makes some good content.
Yeah. So we'll see you soon. Have a great day, and all the best. See you soon.
Thanks.
See you.